All right, back to work on the old Beaver. So the goal tonight is a simple one. I said last video I was going to possibly replace the hardware. Now the plan is to keep it. So, it being 10 o'clock right now, I'm hoping by the time I get to bed, this is at the very least taken off, preferably cleaned, preferably cleaned and repainted. But we'll see where we get to. All right, everything's stripped out or seized or whatever. Plan B. All right, into the sandblaster we go. This is easily my favorite tool. If you have paint on something and you want it to not have paint on something, it's pretty well the right answer. When it works. I said I'd be done the hardware by midnight. I lied. But it is done. Repainted in a nice oiled bronze hammer tone color. Remember when I also said I was going to reuse all the hardware? Well, I lied about that too. Turns out the seized, rusty, crummy old hardware just wasn't going to cut it. No biggie, screws are cheap. So, back together we go. Okay, so look. In my mind's eye, in my fantasy, idealized version of how I wanted to do this, this hardware was originally going to be the same oiled bronze color as the rest of the fittings. But honestly, now that I look at it, with your typical plated, off-the-shelf hardware store hardware, it looks just fine. I mean, we're not going for some sort of interior decorating award here. We're just making a functional table saw table. And in fact, it's probably nicer than it needs to be as is. But look, oiled bronze, painted fixture, plated screw, good enough. So there we are. It's perfectly functional. And for the time being, this base part at least, is finished. Took a little longer than planned. I know I originally wanted to have all the hardware done in a matter of a couple hours. It took probably closer to a couple of days. But that's no big deal. It's a hobby, not a job. So next up, either I'll get to work on the platform or the tool base, or I'll get to work on the saw part itself.